Brandon's text came in at 10:43 p.m. Hey man, everything okay? Emily just showed up here. At first, I thought it was a mistake. A weird autocorrect fail or maybe a drunk text meant for someone else. Emily wasn't supposed to be at Brandon's place. She was supposed to be out with her friends, drinking overpriced cocktails and complaining about their boyfriends. At least that's what she told me. I stared at my phone for a second, my brain trying to rearrange the words into something less dangerous, less explosive. But there was no mistake. The name at the top of the screen was clear. The message was simple. Emily, my wife, at my best friend's house. I didn't text back. I called straight to voicemail. Again, and again, and again. I should have thought about it more, but my body moved before my brain could catch up. Keys, jacket, door, car. I barely registered the drive, barely noticed the stop signs and streetlights flying past. The only thing I saw was the message burned into my vision like a brand. I pulled up outside Brandon's house and that's when I saw it. Her car, parked in his driveway like it belonged there. A second later, his bedroom light flickered on. A shape moved behind the curtains. Then another. 2 figures, close together. My heart didn't just sink, it shattered. A slow, crawling heat rose in my chest, something between rage and disbelief. I sat there for a moment, gripping the steering wheel so hard my hands hurt, trying to convince myself that maybe, just maybe, there was some other explanation. And then the curtain shifted. Just enough for me to see her face. Emily, laughing. Brandon's face was close to hers, their bodies inches apart. And that's when it hit me. The truth. The raw, undeniable truth that she had been feeding me lies with a smile, that she had stood in our home, kissed me goodbye, and then driven straight here. To him. I stepped out of the car, my entire body buzzing with something electric. My mind was split in two. Half of me wanted to rip the door off its hinges and drag them both into the street. The other half wanted to turn around and disappear. But then an idea. A cold, calculated, perfect idea. I pulled my phone out and scrolled through my contacts until I found the one person who could turn this night into something poetic. Emily's younger sister, Lily. And I sent one simple message. You up? The reply came faster than I expected. Yeah, what's up? I stared at my phone, the glow of the screen cutting through the dark. My mind was racing, balancing between fury and something else, something dangerous. I wasn't thinking straight, but I didn't want to. Thinking led to pain. And pain? Pain made people desperate. I looked back at Brandon's window. The curtain had settled, but I could still see the faint movement inside. I clenched my jaw so hard it ached, forcing myself to swallow the rage threatening to take over. Not here. Not now. I turned back to my phone and typed, need to get out of the house. Want to grab a drink? 3 dots popped up immediately. Sure. Pick me up? Perfect. I didn't waste another second. I backed out of Brandon's driveway so smoothly it was almost comical. Like I was just some random guy leaving after visiting a friend, like I hadn't just caught my wife sneaking around behind my back. Like I wasn't about to do something that would flip everything upside down. Lily lived 15 minutes away. I spent the entire drive replaying the past few months in my head, piecing together the moments I had ignored, the red flags I had brushed off. The late nights. The extra showers. The way she'd smile at her phone and then turn the screen away when I walked into the room. God, I had been so stupid. By the time I pulled up in front of Lily's apartment, my hands weren't shaking anymore. I was locked in, fully committed to whatever was about to happen. Lily walked out a moment later, sliding into the passenger seat without hesitation. She looked good, better than I remembered. Dark jeans, tight top, hair pulled into some kind of messy bun that still somehow looked perfect. She smelled like vanilla and something sharp, something that made my pulse spike for the first time since I saw that damned window curtain move. She grinned as she buckled her seatbelt. Okay, you never text me to hang out. What's going on? I exhaled slowly, gripping the wheel. Here we go. Emily's with Brandon right now. Lily froze. The seatbelt clicked into place, but she didn't move. Her mouth opened, then shut. Her expression flickered between confusion, anger, and something else. Something darker. Wait, what? You heard me. She blinked, staring at me like she wasn't sure if I was serious. But I was. Dead serious. A slow, knowing look crossed her face. So that's why you texted me. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. The silence in the car was heavy, electric. Then Lily did something I didn't expect. She smirked. Not a sad smirk. Not an awkward one. No, this was the smirk of someone who understood. Someone who saw the game being played and was more than willing to pick up a controller. She leaned back in the seat, crossing her legs. All right, let's go have some fun. I put the car in drive, and for the first time all night, I felt something other than rage. Excitement. I didn't have a plan. Not really. Just raw, reckless energy and a need to do something, anything to take back control. Lily tapped her fingers against her knee as I drove, her eyes flicking toward me every few seconds. She was waiting for me to say something. To explain. I kept my grip tight on the wheel. You sure you want to do this? She finally asked, voice light but laced with something sharper. I mean, I'm down for whatever, but let's be real, you're kinda spiraling. I let out a short, humorless laugh. Yeah? Can you blame me? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. I pulled into a parking lot at random. Neon lights from some hole-in-the-wall bar reflected against my windshield. It didn't matter where we went as long as it was somewhere I didn't have to think. Lily leaned over, peering through the window. Classy. I smirked, but it didn't reach my eyes. Come on. Let's get a drink. Inside, the bar was dim and buzzing with low chatter. A jukebox in the corner played something old, something slow. It didn't match the energy coiling inside my chest, but I ignored it. We slid into a booth and a waitress appeared almost immediately. She was young, maybe early 20s, with tired eyes and a bored expression. What can I get you? Whiskey, I said. Neat. Lily arched an eyebrow. Look at you, all dramatic. She turned to the waitress. I'll have the same. But with ice, because I'm not trying to prove anything. The waitress nodded and walked off. Lily leaned forward, resting her chin on her hand. All right, she said. Tell me everything. I did. I told her about the text from Brandon. About the way Emily's car was parked in his driveway like it belonged there. About the shadows behind the curtain. Every little detail. Every tiny, gut-wrenching moment. By the time I finished, Lily was gripping the edge of the table so tightly her knuckles had gone pale. That absolute bitch, she muttered. I let out a breath, leaning back against the booth. Yeah. No kidding. The waitress returned, setting our drinks down without a word. I knocked mine back in one go. It burned, but I welcomed the fire. Lily took a sip of hers, watching me over the rim of her glass. Then she set it down and tilted her head. So what's your play here? She asked. I ran a hand through my hair. I don't know. I needed to do something. She studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. All right, let's make it something worth remembering. I frowned. What do you mean? Her smirk was sharp. Dangerous. I mean, if we're doing this, let's do it. She tapped her nails against her glass. You want to make Emily regret this? You want to make sure she feels it? Then let's give her something she can't ignore. I narrowed my eyes. Like what? She leaned in, voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Like making sure she knows she's not the only one who can play this game. I stared at her. She stared back. And slowly, a grin crept across my face. All right, I said. Let's do it. Lily was dangerous. Not in an obvious way. She wasn't reckless, wasn't loud or dramatic like Emily. No, Lily's danger came from the way she thought. The way she saw past the surface, peeled everything back, and found exactly where to dig the knife. She took a slow sip of her whiskey, letting the weight of her words settle between us. Then she set her glass down, fingers trailing along the rim. So, she said, how far are you willing to go? I exhaled through my nose. Far enough. She nodded like she expected that answer. Good. I didn't know what she was planning yet, but I didn't care. Whatever this was, whatever we were doing, it was better than sitting in my car, staring at Brandon's house like a broken idiot. The whiskey started to settle into my bloodstream, warming me from the inside out. The noise of the bar faded. The only thing that existed was this, the charged silence, the flicker of something electric in Lily's eyes. She tilted her head. We should take a picture. I blinked. What? A picture? She gestured between us. Something casual, something innocent, at least on the surface. But just suggestive enough to make Emily wonder. I stared at her, then let out a low chuckle. You're something else, you know that? She grinned. You have no idea. Before I could overthink it, she slid into my side of the booth. Close. Too close. Her perfume curled into my lungs, vanilla and something sharper, something that made my pulse quicken. She angled her phone, tilting her head against mine like this was just another casual night out. Relax, she murmured. You're supposed to look like you're having fun. I smirked. I am having fun. She snapped the photo before I could second-guess any of this. Then, without hesitation, she opened her messages and sent it. To Emily. The moment it was delivered, she turned the screen toward me. No words. No caption. Just the picture. I stared at it, something dark and satisfied unfurling in my chest. Emily would see it. She would wonder. She would question. Lily pulled back, sliding effortlessly back into her seat. She grabbed her drink and took another slow sip, watching me over the rim. Now we wait. I didn't have to wait long. Less than a minute later, my phone vibrated on the table. A name flashed across the screen. Emily. Lily's smirk widened. Told you. I picked up the phone and answered. Hey, babe, I said, keeping my voice calm. Easy? Something wrong? Silence. Just breathing. Then where are you? Emily's voice was sharp. Accusing. I let the question hang for a second, then glanced at Lily. She raised an eyebrow, amused. Out, I said simply. Another pause. Then, lower, tighter, with who? I smiled. Lily. I could practically hear her brain scrambling, trying to fit the pieces together. Good. Let her struggle. Why? She demanded. Why are you with my sister? I took my time with the answer, swirling the last of my whiskey in the glass. Funny, I murmured. I was about to ask you the same thing about Brandon. Silence. Long, heavy. Then she did exactly what I expected. She lied. Jake, what the hell are you talking about? Her voice shifted, softening into the innocent, wide-eyed act she had perfected over the years. I was out with the girls tonight. I laughed. I couldn't help it. Really? That's weird, Em. Because I got a text earlier saying you were at Brandon's place. And when I drove by surprise, your car was right there in his driveway. She sucked in a sharp breath. Wait, you drove by? Like that was the problem. Like the issue here was me seeing it, not her actually doing it. Lily watched me. Sipping her drink like this was the best show she'd seen in years. I leaned forward, lowering my voice. So, Em, wanna try again? More silence. But this time it was different. This time it was calculated. And then she laughed. A small, breathy, guilty little laugh. Wow, she murmured. I didn't think you had it in you. I clenched my jaw. Excuse me? Texting my sister? She mused. That's cute, Jake. Really. But let's be real, we both know you're not gonna do anything. You don't have it in you. My grip tightened around my glass. That's so? MHM. She sounded smug now, and it made me want to break something. You're mad. I get it. But let's not pretend like you're actually gonna cross that line. You're not that kind of guy. Lily arched an eyebrow as if to say, you buying that? I wasn't. Emily sighed, voice dropping into something softer. Manipulative. Come home, Jake. Let's talk. I exhaled slowly. You mean lie some more? She made a frustrated sound. Jesus, can you not be so dramatic for once? Just come home. We'll figure it out. I let the words sit between us. I wanted to say yes. Wanted to go back to the version of me that would have fought for this, fought for her. But that guy was already dead. So instead, I leaned back in my seat and gave the simplest, most satisfying answer I could. Yeah, no. I'm good. Then I hung up. Lily let out a low whistle. Damn. That was cold. I shook my head, tossing my phone onto the table. Not cold enough. She studied me for a moment, then grinned. You really want to piss her off? I met her gaze. More than anything. She leaned in, smirk widening. Then let's give her something to really lose her mind over. And just like that, the game changed. Lily was still smirking when she finished her drink, tapping her nails against the glass like she was waiting for me to catch up. All right, she said, tilting her head. Want to make her lose it? I let out a breath, still gripping my phone. Emily's voice was still in my head, smug, condescending, like she had already won. Like she had just expected me to take the hit and crawl back home. I wasn't that guy anymore. I met Lily's gaze. Yeah. Let's do it. She slid out of the booth, grabbing her purse. Good. We're going shopping. I frowned. Shopping? She grinned, already heading for the door. Trust me. 20 minutes later, I was standing in a department store watching Lily sift through clothing racks like we were on some casual sibling bonding trip instead of plotting to mentally ruin my wife. I exhaled. You want to tell me what we're doing here, or? She pulled a dress off a hanger and held it up. It was short, tight, the kind of thing I never saw her wear. Buying a dress, she said simply. I raised an eyebrow. For what? She smiled, and it was wicked. For the picture. I blinked. What picture? Lily sighed like I was an idiot. Jake, come on. Emily already saw us together, and that clearly shook her. But if you want to make sure she's spiraling, we need to step it up. We need something that makes her question everything. She tossed the dress over her arm and grabbed another one, then turned back to me, eyes gleaming. So we take a picture. You in a nice shirt. Me in this. She gestured to the dress. Somewhere dark. Cozy. Maybe a little blurry. Just enough to make it look like. She trailed off, letting the words hang. My stomach tightened. Like we actually did something. Lily shrugged, still smiling. Let her fill in the blanks. I stared at her. She was right. Emily wouldn't even need proof, just the suggestion of something would be enough to make her unravel. Enough to make her sit there, replaying every moment, every detail, wondering if she had just made the biggest mistake of her life. And the best part? We wouldn't even have to lie. I smirked. All right, let's do it. Lily's grin widened. That's the spirit. An hour later, we were downtown. The kind of place where everything blurred together. Low lights, loud music, people moving in messy, careless waves. Lily had changed into the dress back at her place, and I had swapped out my shirt for something sharper, cleaner. We looked the part. Now we just had to set the scene. She pulled me toward the bar, flashing a quick smile at the bartender as she ordered. She was good at this, good at slipping into roles, at making everything feel effortless. When the drinks came, she leaned in close. Ready? I nodded. She turned slightly, angling her body against mine, tilting her head like we were sharing something private. Then she lifted her phone, snapped a picture, and, without hesitation, sent it to Emily. No words, no context, just the image. The moment it was delivered, she met my gaze, lips curling. Now we wait. I didn't have to wait long. My phone started vibrating barely 30 seconds later. Emily. Again. Lily smirked. You gonna answer? I picked up, bringing the phone to my ear. Emily's voice hit like a bomb. Are you kidding me? I exhaled through my nose, keeping my voice cool. Something wrong? Don't play dumb, Jake. What the hell is this? I glanced at Lily, who was watching me with pure delight, then took a slow sip of my drink. You got the picture, huh? You, she growled. Actually growled. Jake, what the hell are you doing? I leaned back, barely suppressing a grin. Having a drink. Hanging out. You know, the kind of thing people do when they're not busy sneaking around behind their spouse's back. Silence. I could practically hear her seething. Then, lower, darker, come home. Now. I have to laugh. Yeah, I don't think so. Jake, I'm serious. Come. Home. I tilted my head, pretending to think. You know, Em, you keep saying home like it's still ours. More silence. But this time it was different. This time it was uncertainty. She hadn't expected this. She had expected anger, yelling, maybe even a fight. But this calm, calculated version of me? This was something she didn't know how to handle. She swallowed. Can we just talk? I let the question sit for a beat. Then I smiled. Nah, I think I'm good. And for the second time that night, I hung up on her. Lily let out a slow whistle. Damn. You really flipped the script on her, huh? I turned to her, exhaling. I'm done playing her game. She studied me, something unreadable flickering across her face. Then she grinned, clinking her glass against mine. Good, she said. Because this game just got a hell of a lot more interesting. Lily was right. The game had shifted. Emily wasn't just angry, she was rattled. I could hear it in her voice, feel it in the way she demanded I come home. She was losing control, and for the first time in years, I wasn't the one scrambling to hold on. I was done being the guy who forgave, who overlooked, who gave chance after chance while she laughed behind my back. Tonight, she was the one losing sleep. Lily took another sip of her drink, watching me closely. So what now? I smirked, rolling my shoulders. That depends. Think she's gonna show up? Lily raised an eyebrow. You think she'd actually... She didn't even get to finish the sentence. Because that's when I saw her. Emily, standing at the entrance of the bar, eyes locked on me like a heat-seeking missile. I let out a slow breath, setting my drink down. Well, that didn't take long. Lily twisted slightly, glancing toward the door. When she spotted Emily, her lips parted in pure delight. Oh, this is about to be so good. I fought back a grin. Let's make it better. Lily caught on immediately. She shifted closer, resting a hand lightly on my arm. Just casual enough to be plausible, just intimate enough to drive Emily completely insane. I could feel Emily's glare from across the room, could practically hear the way her breath must have hitched when she saw Lily touching me. She stormed forward, pushing past people without a second glance. Lily, I murmured. Incoming. Lily hummed, unconcerned. Can't wait. Emily slammed her hands on the table, rattling our glasses. What the hell is this? I barely glanced up. Hey, Em. Emily's eyes flickered between me and Lily, her jaw so tight I thought she might actually crack a tooth. Jake, get up. Now. I tilted my head. Why? Her nostrils flared. Because we need to talk. Alone. I took a slow sip of my drink. We can talk right here. Lily, to her credit, played her part flawlessly. She leaned back against the booth, crossing her legs, sipping her whiskey like she wasn't even remotely bothered by the raging storm that was my wife standing right there. Emily scoffed, giving Lily a sharp glare. You can go now. Lily just smiled. I don't take orders from you. Emily's hands curled into fists. This is between me and Jake. Lily arched an eyebrow. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you got between him and Brandon's bed. Emily's face twisted in fury. Oh, screw you, Lily. Lily smirked, completely unfazed. Not really my type, but thanks for the offer. I nearly choked on my drink. Emily turned back to me, eyes wild. Jake, I swear to God. Get up or I'm causing a scene. I shrugged. You already are. She slammed her palm on the table again. Why are you doing this? I exhaled slowly, setting my glass down. You really want to know? She glared. Yes, I really want to know. I leaned forward, meeting her gaze head-on. Because you never thought I would. Something in her expression cracked. For the first time, she didn't look angry. She looked afraid. Afraid that maybe, just maybe, she had pushed me too far. Afraid that she wasn't the one in control anymore. Emily swallowed, voice lowering. Jake, please, just come home. I studied her, letting the silence stretch. Then I smiled. No. Emily's breath hitched. Lily grinned, lifting her glass in a mock toast. And for the first time since this all started, I felt free. Emily wasn't used to losing. I could see it, feel it in the way her entire body tensed, in the way her breathing hitched when I said that one simple word. No. She blinked, like she hadn't fully processed it yet, like she was waiting for me to break, to crack under the pressure and fall back in line. But I wasn't that guy anymore. Emily had spent months, maybe longer, playing games behind my back, smiling in my face, kissing me goodbye, then sneaking off to him. And the second she realized she wasn't holding all the cards anymore, now she wanted to talk. Now she wanted me to come home. Now that I wasn't sitting in our house, waiting for her, she was losing her mind. I could see the exact moment she panicked. Her hands flexed at her sides. Her lips parted like she was about to say something, but she hesitated. Then she did what Emily always did when she lost control. She switched tactics. Jake, she murmured, voice softening, eyes glistening like she was about to cry. Can we just talk in private? Please? I almost laughed. It was so textbook, so predictable. She was good at flipping the script, making me feel like the bad guy, making it seem like I was the one being unreasonable. But not this time. I leaned back in my seat, tilting my head. Talk about what? Emily blinked, caught off guard by how easy I was making her work for this. About everything. I exhaled through my nose, pretending to think. All right, let's start with Brandon. When did it start? Her face paled. She faltered, her eyes darting away for half a second before snapping back to mine. Jake, please? Not here. Lily let out a soft laugh, swirling the ice in her glass. Wow, that's crazy. You had no problem doing it there, but talking about it here is where you draw the line? Emily shot her a glare, but Lily just smiled, resting her chin in her hand like she was thoroughly enjoying every second of this. Emily turned back to me, jaw clenched. Jake, can you stop being a child for 2 seconds? My eyebrows lifted slightly. That's interesting. See, I thought I was being pretty mature by leaving instead of punching my best friend in the face. She flinched. Just barely. Then she sighed, pressing her fingers to her temple like I was exhausting her. Like I was the problem here. Look, she muttered, lowering her voice. I made a mistake, okay? I wasn't thinking. I got caught up in something I shouldn't have. But that doesn't mean I don't love you, Jake. I let the words settle between us, rolling them over in my head. Then I smirked. Love? She nodded quickly, sensing an opening. Yes. Of course I love you. I let out a slow, heavy breath, tapping my fingers against the table. So, just to be clear, you loved me while you were sneaking around behind my back? You loved me while you were lying to my face? You loved me when you left our bed and crawled into his? Emily swallowed, her throat bobbing. Jake. That's funny, I murmured, shaking my head. Because you know who didn't lie to me? Emily hesitated. What? I gestured toward Lily. Lily grinned. Emily? She looked ready to explode. She turned to her sister, eyes narrowing. You are such a snake. Lily gasped, pressing a hand to her chest. Wow, that hurts. Really? You betray your husband with his best friend. But I'm the snake? Emily looked murderous. You're doing this just to get under my skin. Lily took a slow sip of her drink, then set it down. Well, yeah. I fought the urge to laugh. Emily turned back to me, eyes wild. Jake, can we go somewhere? Just you and me? I met her gaze, let her hope for just a second. Then I stood up, but not to follow her. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my wallet, and tossed a few bills onto the table. Then I turned to Lily, extending a hand. Come on, I said. Let's go somewhere else. Lily's smirk was pure victory. She took my hand without hesitation, sliding out of the booth and linking her arm through mine like it was the most natural thing in the world. Emily? Emily just stood there, stunned, watching as we walked right past her. For the first time, she wasn't the one walking away. And for the first time, I wasn't looking back. The second we stepped out of the bar, Lily let out a low whistle. That, she said, still holding onto my arm, was art. I exhaled, my pulse still thrumming from the confrontation. Emily had never looked like that before. Never looked small, never looked like she didn't have the upper hand. It was addictive. She didn't see that coming. I muttered, shaking my head. Lily smirked. Of course she didn't. Emily doesn't think anyone can play the game better than her. She thought you'd come running back, all sad and broken. She squeezed my arm. But you didn't. I didn't. And for the first time since all of this started, I didn't want to. Lily tugged me toward the sidewalk. Come on. Let's keep this night going. Where are we going? She grinned. Anywhere but back there. I huffed a laugh but didn't argue. We ended up at a late-night diner. The kind with faded red booths, sticky menus, and a tired-looking waitress who barely glanced at us before pouring 2 cups of coffee. Lily leaned back in the booth, stirring in way too much sugar. So, how's it feel? I arched a brow. How's what feel? Not being Emily's puppet anymore. I let the question hang, staring at the black surface of my coffee. It felt different. Lighter. For so long I had convinced myself that walking away wasn't an option. That Emily wasn't that bad, that she would realize what she had, that she would finally choose me. But she never did. She chose herself. She chose Brandon. And all it took was one night, one shift in power for me to see it clearly. I should have done this a long time ago, I muttered. Lily didn't look surprised. She just nodded. Yup. I let out a breath. It's crazy. I spent so much time thinking I needed to fix things. That if I just tried harder, if I just loved her more, she'd magically stop being a selfish, cheating hag? Lily finished. I snorted. Something like that. She rolled her eyes. Jake, Emily never deserved you. And deep down I think you always knew that. I wanted to argue. But I couldn't. Because she was right. I sighed, rubbing a hand over my face. So what now? Lily grinned, popping a fry into her mouth. That depends. What do you want now? I blinked at her. What do you mean? She leaned forward. Jake, you're free. You don't have to go back to that miserable house. You don't have to spend another second with someone who doesn't respect you. So, her eyes gleamed. What do you want to do? The question hit harder than I expected. For the first time in years, I wasn't trapped in the cycle of waiting, hoping, hurting. I was out. Emily had made her choices. And now? Now it was my turn. I met Lily's gaze. Let's find out. The diner buzzed with low chatter and the clatter of dishes, but I barely noticed. Lily's question still echoed in my head. What do you want to do? For the past 8 years, I had made every decision with Emily in mind. Every move, every compromise, every bit of myself, all of it had been shaped around what she wanted, what she needed. And where had that gotten me? Sitting across from her younger, hotter, and way smarter sister, realizing I had wasted years of my life on a woman who thought I was too weak to walk away. But I wasn't weak. Not anymore. I exhaled, tapping my fingers against my coffee cup. First thing I want to do? Move out. Lily grinned. That's the right answer. I shook my head, half laughing. I should have done it the second I found out. She shrugged. Yeah, but you're a good guy. You actually believed in her. That's not a bad thing, Jake. It just means you loved someone who didn't deserve it. I huffed, leaning back. Well, I'm done believing in her now. Lily lifted her coffee in a toast. Better late than never. We clinked mugs, and for the first time in forever, I didn't feel like I was suffocating. Then my phone buzzed. I glanced down. Emily. Again. Lily sighed. She's relentless, huh? I smirked. Desperate people usually are. Lily's lips curled. Answer it. I raised an eyebrow. Why? She leaned in, eyes gleaming. Because I want to hear her completely lose her mind. I chuckled, shaking my head, but I swiped to answer anyway. Emily's voice came through instantly, frantic, unhinged. Jake, where the hell are you? I took my time sipping my coffee. Having a late-night snack. Silence. Then, with Lily? I smirked. You seem stressed, Em. Everything okay? Her breath hitched. Jake, come home. We need to. I cut her off. No, you need to. I don't need a damn thing from you anymore. Jake. Let me guess, I murmured, tapping my spoon against the table. You didn't actually think I'd leave. You thought you could feed me some half-baked apology, flash some tears, and I'd just forgive you. Silence. Let me make something real clear, I continued. You broke this. You threw it away. And you don't get to be mad that I finally saw you for what you really are. Emily sucked in a breath. You don't mean that. I laughed, and it felt so damn good. Emily, I said, voice calm, steady. I meant every word. More silence. Then, are you sleeping with my sister? Lily nearly spit out her coffee. I grinned, looking her dead in the eye as I answered. Wouldn't you like to know? Then I hung up. Lily cackled. Oh my God, you killed her. I leaned back, exhaling. She deserves worse. Lily smirked, drumming her fingers against the table. So, you moving out tonight or what? I met her gaze, something electric humming between us. Yeah, I said. Let's do it. I pulled into the driveway for what I knew would be the last time. The house looked different now, emptier, colder, like it wasn't really mine anymore. Maybe it never was. Maybe it had always belonged to Emily and I had just been renting space in her world until she decided she didn't need me anymore. But I wasn't hers now. And I was taking my life with me. Lily parked behind me, cutting her engine. She leaned over the center console, raising an eyebrow. You sure you don't want me to come in? Would be kind of fun to watch her melt down in real time. I smirked. Tempting, but I got it. She nodded, but there was something else in her expression, something sharper, more serious. You call me if she pulls anything, all right? I exhaled, gripping the handle. Trust me. The only thing she can pull now is the curtains to watch me drive away. Lily grinned. That's hot. I shook my head, laughing under my breath, then stepped out of the car. Emily was waiting for me inside. She must have been pacing for hours because the second I walked in, she pounced. Jake, she breathed, eyes red, hair a mess. She looked like she hadn't slept. We need to talk. I walked right past her. No, you need to talk. I need to pack. She followed me, hands shaking. Jake, please? Can you stop for a second? I didn't stop. I went straight to the bedroom, grabbed a suitcase, and started throwing my clothes in. Emily hovered in the doorway. Jake, I screwed up. I know I did. But this doesn't have to be the end. I paused just long enough to look at her. Emily, you spent the night with my best friend. She flinched. I turned back to the closet. This is the end. She swallowed, voice breaking. I didn't mean for it to happen. I zipped the suitcase. But it did. She stepped forward, desperation creeping into her voice. It didn't mean anything, Jake. I felt like you weren't paying attention to me anymore, and I spun to face her, laughing coldly. So your solution was to sleep with Brandon? Emily's lips parted. I just say it, Emily, I said, voice even. Say you didn't think I'd ever leave you. Her breath caught. And in that moment, I saw it, the truth behind every lie, every excuse, every manipulation. She had never loved me enough to be loyal. She had just loved having me there. Her safety net. Her backup plan. Her idiot husband who was supposed to forgive and forget no matter what she did. But I wasn't that guy anymore. I grabbed my suitcase, brushing past her without another word. And for the first time, she cracked. She screamed my name, grabbed my arm, tried pulling me back. Jake, don't do this. I'll fix it. I'll do anything. Just tell me what to do. I pulled free, looking her dead in the eyes. You can start by moving the hell out of my way. And then I walked out of the bedroom, out of her life, and right into Lily's waiting car. The second I got in, Lily let out a slow whistle that looked intense. I sighed, running a hand through my hair. Yeah, she finally realized it's over. Lily studied me, then smirked. So, where to now? I exhaled, looking at the road ahead. Anywhere but here. She grinned, shifting gears. I like the way you think, Jake. As we pulled away, I didn't look back. I didn't need to. Emily had spent the night with my best friend. So I spent it with her younger, hotter sister. And for the first time in a long, long time, I didn't regret a damn thing.